Welcome back to Suburban Black Girl, episode 28. Cheers.
Woohoo! Episode 28. So today, let's talk about navigating confidence as a Black woman. You know, my Black is beautiful. So just getting into everything regarding just self-confidence, self-worth, and, just loving the skin that you're in as a Black woman. So
Period.
I think we should get into it. What does confidence look like to you as a Black woman?
Feeling confident in the skin that you are in, regardless of societal standards, European beauty standards, but also standards within the Black community, because colorism exists, in society, but sadly within our own community as well. So,
yeah, no, I think you couldn't have said it any better. Definitely agree with that. I think it's also just one of those things that as we grow older as Black women that, we find more confidence and have more confidence within ourselves. I definitely know my confidence wasn't half as what it is when I was half this age. So I think it's just about constantly evolving and learning to love yourself through every stage in life. And I'm like, I love the skin I'm in more and more the older I get. So love that. And honestly, I hate to say it, but when we're seeing these beautiful Black women over the age of 50, whether it's our mothers or, women that we see in the media or aunts, I'm like, wow, you guys are so beautiful. So I'm like, the way Black women have just evolved, just the way they look over time, I'm like, I can't wait to see what we'll look like when I'm 50.
Yeah, watching Black not crack is great.
Love that for us.
And it also feels good knowing I'm on track, because this weekend I went to a graduation party and it was my mom's friends and 3 people, which semi-rude question, feeling comfortable going up to someone and saying how old you are, how old are you? I think is very strange. But multiple people came up to me and were just shocked that I was 30. They were like, I thought you were 19, 20. I'm like, thank you. I mean, obviously I didn't have makeup on. I look way younger without makeup. But yes, it feels good knowing, well, one, looking at my mom and knowing she does not look her age.
Right.
But then 2, knowing I'm on track to age the same way feels good.
A true blessing. Have you always been confident, or did you have to grow into it?
No, I definitely had to grow into it. I think it was harder to have confidence growing up in predominantly white suburbia, where my skin color was different, my hair texture was different. I think that definitely did not help my confidence at a young age.
Right.
Not being able to do the same hairstyles as my white counterparts, or my hair not being as long, or boys not being interested in me. I think there's definitely pros to growing up in that type of situation, right? But I think one of the cons is definitely just at that young and impressionable age, feeling like you look different, or God, the standard of beauty is just totally different.
Skewed.
So yeah, I think that took a toll on my confidence. And I feel like now being 30, I probably feel the most confident that I've ever felt. But I definitely had to put the work in a little bit to get there, but also, as we've talked about on previous episodes, change my environment. Because the standard of beauty is, I think, different for white people. And I think I've joked about this before about people peaking in high school, but it's I look back and it's no offense. I mean, no disrespect by this, but it's why was that person the prettiest girl in school? It's just,
I jump when I look on Facebook now.
The standard of beauty is just warped. Is all I can describe it as.
No, I agree. No, because those that really, like you said, peaked in high school, now I'm just like, yikes.
Right.
But honestly, glad that, I didn't peak then, because I feel like now it's easier to just look good the rest of our lives. So yeah, no, same here. I definitely struggled very hard with my confidence growing up. I've talked about it before, facing colorism. I think that's the biggest thing for me. But also, I was chunky. I used to eat a lot. You were? Oh my God, yes. I was huge. I have to show you. I mean, I wasn't huge, but oh my God, yes. I was a chunky little teen, a little chunky little dark chocolate
What were you eating?
Everything.
Honestly, I probably would have been chunkier if I wasn't an athlete, because I used to my God, I don't know how I used to eat that much. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. And that's honestly what helped me start to lose weight when my mom put me in soccer at like 7.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was eating a lot. I was, because my grandmother, she really helped raise me for a lot of my childhood because my parents worked so much. And you know how grandma's house, she would feed me so much food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and multiple snacks a day. I would eat McDonald's after school and still have a full, 3-course dinner.
Yeah.
Like, she never told me no. It was just like, what do you want? What do you want? Like, here, here, here. So I was chunky. But I think other than that, yeah, I mean, like you said, growing up in, the suburbs, no one looked like me. And so, that definitely messed with my confidence a lot because I was truly one of 2 or 1 of 3 other Black, girls at my school for most of my life. And so that was very hard because, I mean, let's be honest, no one wanted to talk to the Black girls. They were into all the other girls. And so that was one of those things that was really hard to kind of overcome. But, like you said, like, changing your environment, that was everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think once I really came here to Texas, I learned to love myself so much more. And I truly do believe if I were to still have stayed in LA, I would not be as confident as I am now.
Mm-hmm.
Because just the way that men treat me or like the way they make me feel, just as far as like my beauty, I'm just like, wow, like the attention was night and day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I hate to say it, but yes, like it does boost your confidence when people tell you how attractive that you are, regardless of how you truly feel inside. So
Yeah. And I think that just made me have a thought too about the different stages I've gone through and kind of like what you just spoke about and how I don't want to say it like it kind of has a negative effect, but it's like you grow up in a situation where you're the minority, and you're dealing with colorism or whatever, people aren't as attracted to you, and then you change your environment and you get around, more Black people that do find you attractive. But I think something that comes from that, like there's good and bad that comes from that, right? Because now you feel more accepted, you feel like you're beautiful, but then how much of that contributes to you like inadvertently like starting to become more male centered or putting too much validation behind male opinion or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
You're right.
And then I feel like that's a negative that comes out of it because that's something that was not happening over here growing up. And then you get that and it's like, oh. But then it's like, hold up. They're still scrubs. Like, we do not need to be centering their opinion. But
Good
like,
God,
obviously, you're not used to getting it.
Yeah.
So it feels good.
Right.
But now I feel like now we're out of that stage and like, into late 20s, early 30s, where you start to not seek that validation from them, but also, not seek any sort of validation based on your appearance at all, quite frankly, because that doesn't lead towards anything real, anything genuine.
Right.
So it's kind of funny, those phases. And it's also like, would we have even had some of the issues that came out of phase 2 had we not even grown up like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, are there things that you wouldn't have even bothered with or settled for had you just simply grown up around more Black people?
That's actually a really great question. And I do like, especially in the last year or two, when I reflect on the type of men that I have dated in my younger 20s since being, here, I'm just kind of like, girl, what were you doing?
I don't know you.
Yeah.
I don't know them.
Because I'm like, child, what was I going through? And it's like, when you really reflect and you kind of talk to, a good man for once, and you're talking and you're like talking about these stories and they're laughing like with you, it's like, yeah, like it was really, I was a joke.
I blame the frontal lobe for not being fully developed.
Because some of the stuff I'm like, what the hell?
No.
But that's a great point, because it's like some of those things that I could have went through when I was in my teens, I didn't have to go through in my younger 20s.
Right.
But let's just be grateful that our frontal lobes have, no offense, developed by the time we are about to hit 30 or 30 versus, still doing all that crazy stuff 30 plus.
No, and that's where I just try to focus on, the silver lining or look at it like glass half full.
Yeah.
Is like, okay, well, at least I'm not carrying over that nonsense into my 30s because there are women that are 30, 40, even
Yeah,
50 plus with like low self-esteem, male centered, still dealing with the nonsense that we deal with in
girl.
our early 20s. And it's like, okay. And we don't know everything at all. We're still going to make
Right.
mistakes. But I think getting that out the way is important. I think that getting that out the way
It's important.
for men and women
Yeah,
is important, right? Because
for
I
sure.
think there are men too that have gotten into relationships in their early 20s and then have wandering eyes. They're wondering
Mhm.
about, what it's like to date, what it's like to dibble and dabble. And so I think the 20s are for exactly that. Just getting
No,
that all out your
experience,
system, making
absolutely.
mistakes, whatever. And it definitely feels good to be over that hump and feel like,
Yeah.
dang, my frontal lobe really was not developed, but thank God it is now because it is. I always joke about that, but it really is crazy because it's like you just wake up one day and see the light and you're like, what on earth was that?
Yeah, no, for
It's
sure.
like actually, if I saw anybody before my current relationship now, I never met you. I don't know you.
You do not know me, I
Li-
do not know you.
Literally, on God, I don't know you.
No, but I love it because all of that stuff truly like builds character, right? And I always tell myself I'm never going to regret anything that I went through or did because it's like those are truly the experiences that shaped the woman that I am today. And honestly, those times even though it was trauma at the time, they make for great stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But also I can't wait to share these stories with my children. And I want especially my daughter's daughter cuz child, please Lord, don't bless me with more than one. Anyway, um I want to be able to share those experiences with her, right? Learn from my mistakes, please. Just like
Yeah.
my mom, told me certain experiences, but times are different through each generation. So it's like, child, the lessons can only go so far. They don't always
Mhm.
apply to this day and age. But yeah, it's definitely crazy some of the things. So
I think for a while it kind of I would have moments where it almost made me sad
mm.
because like we were in the south of France for my 30th birthday
Ah, yes, take me back.
and I got an êmail from someone I used to talk to because that was the only way to reach me because they were what
Blocked.
period.
Miss blocked.
Right, and I hadn't talked to him in forever, and like it invoked some sort of emotion in me where like it made me sad because it was just like it made me sad for like the younger version of me. Like, why did I
Mm.
ever deal with this person? Why did I ever?
Yeah.
And like to this day, I can reflect on some of that stuff and be like, what the hell? What the
Yeah.
hell? Like,
Yeah.
you were playing in my face and you had me effed up. And it's also makes me sad how I used to ignore my own intuition.
Yeah.
Cause it's like I would call people out on certain things and then
Mhm.
I would feel bad about it. Not me today would not feel bad about anything I said
Right.
then. I would have just stood on it. So yeah, sometimes and I try not to dwell on it because it's all about growth and whatever. But yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes I do have moments where I just like feel bad for my younger self, like that
That's
I went
fair.
through certain things.
No, like I totally do myself, right? And honestly, especially when, let's be honest, right now in the public eye, like black women are going through a lot, right? A lot of these, different women that we're seeing right now going from like the domestic violence to just abuse period, right?
Mhm.
And these just terrible traumatic relationships, baby daddy drama, like it's just a lot going on right now in the media. And it's just really triggering for me right now at this time because it reminds me of my past experiences. And I
Mhm.
see myself in each and every one of these situations in some way, shape, or form. And it does break your heart when you see that because it's like, damn, like I
Mhm.
remember being in that point or having that same
Mhm.
situation happen to me. And that stuff is hard
Mhm.
to relive, right? Because some of us are really reliving this trauma through the experiences and the things that we're seeing right now in the media
Yep,
today.
it's a lot of it is really hard to watch.
It's horrible, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And just seeing the comments. And I tell people all the time, until it's happened to you, like please do not say anything at all because you do not understand unless you are going through that at that time or have been through it. And just all of it is just way too much. But yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, hearing the details of some of these cases or honestly watching like narcissistic abuse live online, right? Like the news of like the Hallie and DDG stuff that
Yeah.
came out yesterday, it's like it all makes sense the way
Come on.
he's been bashing her
Mm-hmm.
on the internet, trying to ruin her reputation. And it's because he knew he was guilty. And she was quiet because she knew she had receipts, she knew she had
Come
evidence, and
on.
she went about it the right way and she dealt with it in the court of law. But like that was textbook narcissist behavior by
Yeah.
him, was just trying to like go straight to social media and get ahead of it and try and, I don't know, change the way she's perceived because
Right.
they know that they're dead wrong.
No, exactly.
Um, and stuff like that is triggering to watch, and you don't have to be a
Mm-hmm.
celebrity to understand. A lot of people have dealt with narcissists where it's like, you are literally dead wrong,
Yes.
and you're trying to record me or, you know, tell people certain versions of a story to try and make me look bad. And it's just like, I think the one thing that like I sleep so peacefully at night is whenever I've dealt with anybody like that in a relationship or even past female friends that were narcissistic, it's like hands down, the people that know me and the people that know the other person. Everybody that knows both of us knows my character and knows their character. And it's like, okay, everybody knows what they're saying is a crock of shit. And so that's the only thing that makes me feel good in those situations is like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, your character speaks for itself.
Always. You don't have to see nothing at all.
You know, and it's always the person that is yapping
Mhm.
after a situation, friendship, whatever ends.
Right.
That's the guilty party. So, child, but yeah, it's triggering to watch that stuff on the internet because
It is.
everybody's been there in some sort of capacity, whether mental, emotional, physical, financial, psychological, whatever type of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. And then it's even harder to be in the comments and seeing people like, well, why didn't she just leave?
God, that
Da-da-da-da.
comment. I'm just like, shut the fuck up,
It's just,
please.
yeah, it's
Please.
really disappointing to
No,
see
it
that. So
is. It really is. And so many of us women have been in situations where with men where it's kind of like all that love that they had for you at first literally turns into hate so fast. And it's like we see it time and time after again. And it's like how many times, have we as women been in a situation where the man that we thought loved us, it's like he literally is trying to ruin my life.
they're jealous, and it's kind of
Yes.
it's not something that initially would ever cross your mind that
Ever.
this person that appears to love you or support you is actually your biggest hater.
Come on.
But yeah, eventually that truth comes out. Yeah,
It
and
does.
yeah, a lot of these people are perfect examples of that because it's just, I don't know, when they feel like your light is shining too bright, they try to dim it, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them dimming it comes in, insults, emotional abuse, some manipulation, physical abuse, whatever. So it's very sad. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the lessons I learned is like you really have to date somebody that's secure within themselves because dating an
Absolutely.
insecure man is a
Child.
setup.
And they definitely don't show up as insecure when you first meet them on the outside, but it's like
No,
you
because on the
slowly
outside
realize
they're
it.
all charismatic,
Mm-hmm.
life of the it's all a front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well put together, everything. You're like, oh my God, he just checks on my boxes.
Yeah. It's all a
And
front.
child, that mask comes off and you're like, I've been sleeping with the devil.
Yep. What's the quote? Confidence is quiet, insecurity is loud.
Boom. Straight, easy to the point.
Exactly.
In what ways has society tried to make you feel too much or not enough as a Black woman? And how did you push through that?
I think one example about being a Black woman is just anytime you express any sort of emotion or you're assertive, the automatic assumption that you're aggressive is definitely a way that I feel like I've experienced being told I'm too much in a sense. Yeah, we're not perceived in the same way as other people. Everything we do is perceived more masculine, more aggressive. And yeah, we don't get the opportunity to kind of like speak our minds or have an unpopular opinion or be, assertive in our tone without being deemed aggressive. And I think that can be frustrating.
When I think of like being like considered too much as a Black woman, it's more so like anywhere we go, we get so much attention or so many stares. It's kind of like the all eyes on us thing. And it's like we don't have to say anything at all. But it's like something in us. It just has people just like staring to where it's like, wow. Like it's like something about us is like super captivating, or it's like we're a lot. I don't know. It's just that whole thing of just we don't have to say anything at all. Sometimes when we walk in certain rooms and everyone just like looks and stops and stares like we're some freaking, I don't know, foreign object. It's just kind of like a lot sometimes. You know what I mean? And don't let us get to start to talking and we talk quote unquote proper. Then it's kind of like, oh, wow. You know, I don't always think of that because it's like they will definitely let you know when your presence is known for sure. Especially, being in nice areas and restaurants and things of that nature that you feel it more than ever. I don't know, that just came to mind. But
I think another thing for me, and I was just thinking about this the other day too, is just not going out of my way to try to make other people comfortable based off of the assumptions that they have when I haven't even opened my mouth, right? So walking into a room and walking in, looking how I look and minding my business. One thing I've learned is that there is nothing people hate more than when you are minding your business and you are attractive.
And you're quiet.
And you're quiet. That's the trifecta. People hate when you are quiet, minding your business, and attractive. And I've gotten to the point where I'm not going out of my way to speak anymore. I'm not going out of my way to smile. I'm not going out of my way to appear more approachable or more friendly because it's exhausting. And I'm proactively trying to walk into a room and do all of those things so that I can make everybody else comfortable. And that's exactly why it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And now I'm 30 and I've gotten to the point where I don't care anymore. I will walk into the room. If you think I'm intimidating, that's fine. If you want to assume I'm a bitch, that's fine. If you want to assume I'm stuck up, that's fine. Because you look crazy assuming all of those things about me and you haven't had a single conversation with me.
Right.
And so I don't care anymore. You think I have resting bitch face? I have heard that all of my life and I no longer care to give myself more smile lines to try and make everybody else feel comfortable. I'm trying to serve face. I'm not trying to age to make you feel more comfortable. Please.
Like, please, because you don't play about those smile lines. That's why I'm literally crying.
I hate my smile lines. And I don't even know how I have them because allegedly I have resting bitch face so goddamn bad. So how the hell do I have all these smile lines if I'm so unfriendly?
Oh my gosh, I'm crying.
You know what? I'm giving y'all Melania Trump. I'm serving Melania Trump realness.
Maybe that face card is
for the rest of my life. Just, squinting and like a little.
Like, literally, it's like, okay, girl, just relax that
no
face.
Wrinkles, okay? To make y'all feel more comfortable. Good night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, love that. No, exactly. And that's literally at the point I'm getting to as well, because they're still not satisfied. So let them assume, think, feel, whatever. Those that know us, know us. Like, it's crazy. I'm like, child, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm proud of myself for getting to that place socially, but also even at work.
Period on that.
Like it's just, do we really need to say happy Monday? Do we really need to pretend like we care how each other's weekends were? Like, no. It's just.
I'm there for show.
Yeah. And it's like the people that work with me, like me, they know me.
Come on.
But I just, and what was I watching? So I don't know how, because of that whole TikTok trend, I don't know if you've seen it with the 100 Brits versus 100 Americans.
No.
It was this whole thing on TikTok because this guy in the UK said if we put 100 Brits and 100 Americans in the room, no weapons, who's winning? And and whatever. I like somehow because of that ended up on like a little bit of like UK/America TikTok. And so I came across a video of somebody talking about like, if you live in Europe, what is a clear indication somebody's American? And it's actually hilarious because I feel like our reputation is that we're rude, but a lot of the people were saying, you guys are always smiling, you're always saying good morning, you're always friendly, da-da-da. And it just got me thinking about how that's just like such like this societal norm or standard here. And it's like, I personally could care less about any of that. Like if I walk into a store and nobody addresses me, nobody says good morning, I'm like, thank God. Don't ask me. I don't like, no, you can't help me with anything. I just got here. Like, and maybe I have some sort of social anxiety. I don't know. But like, I actually was like, you know what? I kind of agree with the Europeans here. Like, can we skip all the pleasantries? And maybe that's for me, like as a Black woman, because it's exhausting having to like do the most to appear extra friendly when it's like I could care less about that. So it was just kind of funny to me.
That's like so funny because sometimes I'll purposely avoid eye contact because I'm like, I just don't feel like speaking or nodding or smirking. Because there's nothing worse when like you try to give someone a smirk and they just like completely ignore you. It's like, okay, that's so awkward. So yeah, like when I'm in public by myself, I purposely try to just like act oblivious, sadly.
Right.
And there's people that I may run into, they're like, girl, you didn't see me. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was in my own world. Like I am known for that. I'm in my own world when I'm by myself because I don't be worried about what everyone else is doing. I'm just focused on what I'm trying to do.
And you know what? That's the other thing that people take so personal is like, I am not consumed with what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And people are so consumed with what other people are doing. And it's like, they're almost offended that like, I don't know, like that you don't care. And it's not that I don't care or whatever. It's like, it's not that I'm self-absorbed, but I'm literally not thinking about you.
Yeah.
I'm over here thinking about, I don't even know. I'm over here thinking about the 8,000 things I need to do. Like it's literally not about you.
Right.
You know? And I think that's also what's exhausting about like the pleasantries and all that is like, I don't have the brain capacity for this today. Like to make sure I'm smiling at everybody so that they feel comfortable. Like I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's just like, please.
No, it's definitely very interesting. Because it just reminded me, even when we went to Europe, like, remember, those people just would look dead at, like, they would look dead at us in the face. Like, no smirk, no wave, no hate, just like looked at you dead ass in the face. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And you just kept walking.
Right.
So makes sense. Super American.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, they're just so rude. But you could tell it's just a cultural thing there.
And that's fine. I'm cool with that. I don't need to speak. But what I'm not cool with is their lack of personal space.
Oh my God, you're so right.
No, back up, please. You know what? That's one thing I love about America. Because no, like, please give me some damn personal space.
What have you had to unlearn about yourself to feel more free and confident?
I guess for me, it's kind of what we were just talking about. It's just like decentering other people's opinions. Decentering strangers' opinions. And not only strangers' opinions, because I feel like when you walk into a room and you're trying to make yourself more approachable and da-da-da, it's you're trying to prevent a negative perception of yourself. Right. You don't even know how they're going to perceive. You're just going out of your way to try and prevent it, right? And so I think that's the biggest thing for me is just like unlearning that because, and that's even been a recent thing for me too. And you witnessed a conversation in regards to that where somebody was literally telling me, well, why don't I, when I walk in the room, smile more, try and speak more. And that conversation actually really hurt me coming from somebody that knows me so well, trying to encourage me to do the most to make everybody more comfortable. Like, yeah, And I feel like something clicked for me from that day where it was just like, no, I'm not doing that. Because there's plenty of people that were still open to having a conversation with me, that didn't judge me, that are now my friend to this day because they didn't make negative assumptions of me just because I was quiet. They didn't make negative assumptions of me just because of the way I looked. And they actually took the time to have a conversation with me and get to know me. And yeah, I've heard from many people, oh yeah, I thought you were going to be a mean when I first met you, but da 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 da. And it's just like, I laugh that off, but it's also like, that's a you problem.
Right.
Because you just assume that.
Yeah.
And so I guess to answer your question as far as unlearning is unlearning the fact that those things are not a me problem, that those
Right.
things are a them problem.
No, for sure. For sure. I would say for me, a lot of people have certain assumptions or POVs of what a Black woman is or what she should be. So I think some of those negative things that, they say that we are, I try to make sure, like, don't put that in your head. You know what I mean? You're not that. You are who you are. And so I try to live just true to who I am as a person, regardless if it's received by everyone, because it's just not, I live in my uniqueness. And it's something that I had to evolve to learn to love. Like, I am different, especially, being a suburban Black girl, very different than most Black women. So that alone for me, it's not always even received by other Black women. So that's something that I had to learn to just love who I am. And regardless of where I come from and my different experiences than other people, hey, this is my story. And I'm sticking by that and to that. And like you just said, like, overall, like, those that know me. And that's all that matters. And if you just can't understand who I am, then hey, I'm just not your girl. But trying to prove ourselves to people, it's like, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone.
And you just made me have another thought about something that I feel like we kind of touched on, but haven't fully touched on is, and I don't know if you've ever heard this, but feeling confident in your Blackness regardless of how you grew up, right? Because we always talk about the Oreo comments or the talking white comments, but I feel like we haven't talked about the I'm blacker than you. Have you ever gotten that?
I haven't, but in a sense of the way that people talk back to me, absolutely, yes.
And I think that is something.
Yes.
Unlearning is, no, you are who you are. Your personality is what your personality is. You grew up how you grew up. You speak how you speak.
Right.
That doesn't make you blacker than me.
Period.
So I hate that comment. And another thing that I will never accept is somebody who is not Black saying that to me, thinking just because they grew up in the hood or whatever, they grew up around Black people, that they're ever going to say to me that they're blacker than me, and they are literally not Black.
Yeah.
No.
No, those comments, I'm like,
yeah.
And that used to happen to me when I was in my phase of dating like non-Black men. I said, child, let me just go back to just what I really know, because what you're not going to do is sit here and try to act like you're blacker than me and tell me that to my face. That's crazy.
Yeah, no.
Because I'm like, you're not even Black.
Yeah. Pipe down.
Please. Peter. Peter's so much.
Girl, pipe down, Rachel. Just because you grew up in the Bronx,
ain't nobody got
you
time
are
for
not
that.
blacker than me.
Yeah.
Fucking lax.
Yeah.
So,
but
yeah,
no, you're so right about that, because that is another discussion within itself, as far as the like, you're not Black enough. You're not black as me. And it's like, what is this really supposed to mean? That is crazy.
It is.
But you're so right. Those are, things that we do face as being raised in the suburbs, right? And it's like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, baby, you do not really know where I really come from for real. You may see what you see, but it's like, I know where my roots are. So regardless of what you think.
But it also,
no.
Even if you grew up with a silver spoon, it minimizes Blackness to struggle. And is that really what we want to do? Like, it minimizes Blackness to what, struggle to talking a certain way and like growing up in the hood. Like,
right.
Is that really what we want to equate Blackness to?
Great point.
Only that?
Right.
It's just dumb.
Yeah. No, it really is. It really is. Because we have to fight so much harder, you know, to get to where we are. And it's like to be like crucified for it is crazy. How does confidence shape the way you approach dating, friendships, or your work environment?
Whoa, it's a loaded question.
Yeah. We low-key kind of touched on it though.
I think at work, it's because you know what people are going to do of other races? They're going to speak like they know what the hell they're talking about, even when they don't. So, you know, in me, that's one thing
too.
I need to start doing better is just, even when I'm unsure, speaking like it's fact. Because that's what everybody else does. It's like, you just said that loud and wrong. And you know what? I need to start doing the same. So I definitely, as far as the work piece, that's definitely one thing. I think dating, and I was just thinking about this the other day, now that I'm in a relationship and it's like been about 6 months, and not long before this, maybe a couple months, is when I was told by somebody that nobody was ever going to want to date me, nobody was ever going to want to marry me, because I forget what I said, but something along the lines of like, I didn't want to go 50-50 or something like stupid like that. And anyway, this man felt rejected because I said no to going on a date with him and said we could be friends. And it turned into, no one's going to want to ever date me. No one's going to want to ever marry me. And I was kind of just snickering to myself the other day because it's like, I don't know what that person's doing, but I doubt they're in a happy, healthy relationship. Yeah. And so, yeah, when we talk about confidence, it's just like having the confidence in who you are, what you deserve, what you want, and having the confidence that God is going to bless you with it as long as you're patient. Because when I was having that conversation with him, that's literally exactly what I was like, I'm not, and the irony, I don't even like, and again, in hindsight, frontal lobe development, because it's just like, the conversation started off with him asking me on a date, and I said, I'm not dating right now. I'm just focusing on myself, work, whatever. And he was like, well, you don't have to work that hard. You're a woman. You know, men are supposed to be the providers. You don't. But then at the same time, when I was like, well, I don't really care to be in like a 50-50 relationship, then no one's going to want to date. I'm like, which is it?
Yeah, just dumb.
Right, just dumb.
Ignorant.
And, you know, we can insert clip from the very first episode of this podcast where I said, I want somebody that will cook because I like to eat and whatever.
Come on.
And, you know, you ask all these toxic men on here, oh, you don't cook. You have no value as a woman. Oh, you're 30. Oh, it's about time you settle down. You're about to be barren. And it's just like,
please stop.
It's just like, I had the confidence that I wasn't asking for too much.
Yes.
That what I was asking for wasn't realistic, which was, I don't love to cook, but I hope I meet a nice, young, handsome man that's going to treat me well, that enjoys cooking for me. And the confidence that I had in God and in myself, and that what I was asking for or looking for was not unrealistic.
Yeah.
And now I have exactly that. And so...
No, amen to that.
And sorry to that man.
I'm sure he's on someone's podcast now screaming, no 50-50. Anyways,
literally.
You're so right about that, you know, because these men really will try to break your confidence down. And me just continuing to date, I'm like, good God, like, I'm like, this is not real right now. Just all the experiences I feel like I've been having as of lately, but it's still being patient in the midst of trying to find that person, right? And not settling for what I'm currently dealing with. Because I'm like, absolutely not. This is crazy out here right now. But no, I'm like, kudos to you for really like staying down and true to just who you are and what you're not willing to settle for. Because yes, you can find that person. You can get exactly what you've been praying for, been wanting. It's just about being patient with it and not letting some random bum tell you about yourself and what you're not going to have or what you're not going to be able to get. It's like, you're not him. Right. So it's okay.
Right.
You know, and I'm realizing that like, it's going to take a lot of no's before you finally get that one yes. And it just takes one yes. That applies to all aspects of your life.
Yep.
And I'm realizing that right now, you know what I mean? So I know that, you know, what I require is not always easy, but eventually, yeah, I'll find that right person that is able to do exactly what I would like. And I feel like it's not asking for a lot. It's just asking for just to be a man, you know?
Yes. And you know what? He appreciates the fact that I bake cookies.
Period.
So, you know what? That's what I bring to the table.
You bake them cookies, girl. You make them good too. I've had them.
Thank you. You know, I've got the timing down perfect where they're a nice golden brown every time. And you know what? He loves that. He loves my French toast too. So we all have our strengths.
Yeah. Are your oh, I mean, do you like that? Yeah, your cookies are good.
What?
I was gonna be like, but are they homemade though?
That doesn't matter. And you know why it doesn't matter? Because when he tries to make them, he burns them. So you know what? I still bring something to the table.
Hello? Sprinkle, sprinkle. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. How do you set boundaries that honor your self-worth without guilt or fear?
Block. No, I'm joking. Say the question again.
How do you set boundaries that honor your self-worth without guilt or fear?
Honestly, I think for me that comes from like therapy and the work that I've done on myself, because I feel like for me, I guess, like I've done so much work that I refuse to undo that. So it's become easier to set boundaries without guilt, because it's like, oh no, you ain't about to take me back because I've worked way too hard to get here.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I think, like, if I'm being honest, that conversation I had with that man, if that was in my early 20s, I actually might have taken it to, like, it actually might have hurt me.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It actually might have struck a nerve. But now it's just like, I've done so much work on myself. I've dealt with my own trauma. I've looked myself in the mirror. I've recognized my own faults. And so I think when people try to make you feel insecure, when people try to dim your light, when people try to make you feel like you're too much or try to make you feel like you're not enough, I think it's easy to block out that noise or set boundaries and not feel bad about it, because you feel good and you can sleep at night about who you are, regardless of their opinion, you know? And I think the people's opinions that matter the most are the people that love you, have your best interest at heart, know you, and are closest to you, right? Because those people's opinions matter to me. You know, my family's opinions matters to me. My closest friends' opinions of me matter to me. And those I will, you know, take to heart.
Right.
Everything we talk about, right? Like how we grew up and how colorism or people not being attracted to you because you're Black, whatever, and being around predominantly white people, like all of that affects your self-worth and self-esteem.
Right.
So when you get to this point and you feel good about who you are and you think you're about to say some shit,
come on,
to try to hurt me or to try and dim my light or to try and make me feel insecure, no.
Right.
It's just, no, I don't feel any guilt
right.
about that, because I've done the work at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm super big on just being, like I said before, just being unapologetically me, you know, and a lot of people sadly really don't have self-confidence or self-worth. So I feel like that's a hard thing to accomplish for some people, right? And it's still an everyday thing. But it is one of those things that you just have to wake up every day regardless and realize, like, not everyone has to like you. Not everyone has to be your friend. You don't have to be cool with everybody. And that takes time to unlearn, because I feel like as humans, we're taught to be liked, be known, you know, people should, you know, like you or whatever it may be. And it's like, no, not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to love you. They're not going to respect you. They're not going to care about you. It is what it is. You have your tribe, and that's just that. And that's something that I had to really learn. Like, not everyone's going to like me, regardless of how hard I may try. So yeah, that's just kind of how I had to shift my mindset.
And you know what's the crazy thing is, is when you shift your mindset or you do therapy or whatever, and you do the work to feel good about yourself, and you wake up every day and you are authentically yourself and you feel good about it and you're unapologetic about it, that is still going to piss people off,
Oh,
because there's so
yes.
many
Even
people
more.
that cannot be themselves, do not feel
Right.
comfortable being themselves, and it triggers people so badly to watch people authentically be themselves
Yeah.
unapologetically, because I mean, not that they could never, but as of right now, they could never, because they're not putting in the work to feel good about
Right.
themselves, right? And that's why sometimes when we post little snippets of a 60-minute conversation online of this podcast, that's why people get triggered,
Yes.
because we are unapologetically speaking our opinions, we're speaking how we feel, and people don't like it.
Right.
And you know what? I get it. You don't agree, whatever, it triggers you, da da da. But I think there is a portion of people that are triggered because they could never have the confidence, and that's what this
Come
episode
on.
is about, to pick up a camera, get in front of it, speak their mind, and actually upload it and, you know, subject themselves to public opinion.
Absolutely.
That takes
Unapologetically.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of courage, and that takes
Right.
a lot of self-confidence. And watching people do that when you know you can't is another thing that's triggering for people.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like a blessing and a curse to like get to this point, because it's like you feel good about yourself, but you're still going to come across people where it triggers them just by you being you
No, for
and
sure.
you being authentically you, because so many people are not authentically themselves. And I think that also goes back to the walking into a room unapologetically and not trying to people please and smile at everybody and da-da-da. That triggers people, because
Right.
other people walk in the room feeling like they have to people please,
Right.
and it's off-putting when you don't feel like you need to do the most, when you don't want to do the most, when you don't care to do the most. It's off-putting to a lot of people because they don't feel confident enough to do that.
No, not at all.
And I think that's tough, because a lot of people are just not thinking that way. They're not even having these conversations, right? And they're so small-minded that it's like, if you walk into a room and you are not doing the most to try to make yourself approachable, people are so small-minded that it's automatically, she's the bitch. She has a nasty attitude, whatever, she's bougie. And they can't even wrap their minds around the fact that somebody's just simply minding their own business.
Which is crazy. It's literally insane.
It's not, though, because for them, they operate from a place of walking into a room ready to people please, and they
Right.
can't even, a lot of people lack critical thinking skills. You know what I mean? Sadly, and that's honestly why this country is where it is. You know, so people don't leave room for nuance, and a lot of conversations have a lot of color, and people are very narrow-minded and look at everything very black and white, and it's just not that.
Yeah. It's a very interesting time. But you can easily look at someone as confident as they may portray themselves to be on the outside. It's like you can look right through that shit. And they know it. Like, confidence is not worn. It's just there's a presence about it, right? And it's like you can't buy that. There's nothing you can do to finesse that. Like, if it's not in you, it's just not in you. But, those of us that have confidence have done the work. Like, you have to do the work.
Yep.
But it's not easy. You know what I mean?
Yep. It was interesting. A couple weeks ago, I went to a work event with my boyfriend, and he's like giving me, the down low on all of his coworkers, so I know who everyone is and like how they are. And this one girl, she came up to me, she introduced herself, she told me I was pretty like multiple times, right? And she was being overly friendly or whatever. And I was just like, thank you. And like that is off-putting to people, right? Because they want you to do the most in return.
Exactly. Yeah. I was gonna
And
say, yeah.
for me, because I'm very like, one, because I had the knowledge beforehand, but also I'm just very intuitive in general. And it's like now I know, like, people that do the most like that, a lot of times it's not genuine. And it
Right.
became obvious because once she said it multiple times and I was just like, thank you and da da da. And I wasn't like reciprocating her like over the top energy. She didn't speak to me again for the rest of the night. You know, because it wasn't genuine. It was all manipulative
Correct.
and whatever.
Right.
And it's so easy to spot now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's going back to the Europe thing. That's why it's just like I respect it, because it's all of these pleasantries are BS half the time. You know what? Maybe not the nice Southern ladies that, you know, genuinely want to greet you and say good morning. And I'll always say good morning
Love
back.
them.
But, you know, but
Yes.
a lot of times in these like social environments, it's just people are trying to butter you up, or, you know, they could care less. Even like talking to one of my friends that's an influencer a couple weeks ago, and I was asking her about going to influencer events and stuff like that. And I was like, how is that? Because, you know, I've heard like the girls are fake and all of that. And she was like, yeah, you know, I've met nice people, but it's also like a lot of times the girls, like, they're nice and then they want to ask you for your information. And then a few weeks later, it's like they unfollow you. And it's like, you know, it's just,
I believe that.
you know, and it's just the phoniness is just,
I believe it.
I can't.
No, that is like fake as fuck. And I so believe that, because
Right.
that's even happened to me, where I have friends that are influencers and, you know, I go to these events with them and these random girls will follow me and I'm like, girl, I don't know you.
Right.
And yeah, they'll do the same thing on follow me. It's like, I don't care. And I never followed you to begin with.
Right.
I literally don't know you. Like, we're no longer doing follows for follows. I don't care how many followers you have. Yeah, because some of them have big followings, but it's like, girl, I barely even know your name.
Right.
Like, I'm not that pressed, and I don't want to sell your content because I don't know you. And those be the main ones over posting, just all over my timeline, just damn near naked. I'm good. What's one piece of advice you'd give to Black women struggling to feel seen or secure in who they are?
I think it's about being unapologetically yourself, whatever that is. Because for me, I'm personally not the most outgoing. But if you are, then walk in the room like that and own it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are some people that want, and I don't want this to be misconstrued based off this episode, that I'm saying walking into the room automatically means you're trying to people please. Like, if you are not, for me, because that's not my natural personality. If I walk in the room smiling and greeting everybody, that's not who I am. And if I'm doing that, it's because I'm trying to people please. But if you are naturally an outgoing person, friendly person, whatever, then be that unapologetically. If you are naturally more on the quiet, reserved, keeping to yourself, be that unapologetically. Don't feel bad about it. You know what I mean? Regardless of how people perceive you. So I guess that would more be what it is for me.
Self-love is a journey. Self-worth is a journey. It takes so much to love yourself. But for me personally, I had to learn to love who I am regardless of what a man thinks or feels about me. And I do believe that is an issue that a lot of women face, is that they try to seek validation from men to feel wanted or needed or beautiful or loved. I feel that way regardless of have a man in my life or not. 9 times out of 10, I sleep more peacefully without a man, because a lot of these men have just caused me so much trauma and heartache and pain, to where I'm like, I feel my best currently without having a man trying to bring me down in certain ways. So I think that's one of the main things, is stop seeking validation from other people. A lot of women face that. I have friends that go through that, where I'm like, why are you still dealing with that situation? Or why are you still putting up with that? And I think that's one of the biggest things, is a lot of women, Black women, a lot of women just don't love themselves, period. I hate to say it, but it's the goddamn truth. And it's so important for us to love the skin that we're in, regardless of our size, shape, color, form, whatever it may be. And that's the main thing. And find those things that make you feel beautiful, and work on yourself to make yourself feel better, whether it's therapy, whether it's working out, self-care, taking a trip, buying, new clothes, changing your aesthetic, whatever it may be, but just learning to just love who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, the decentering men and decentering other people's opinions in general. But like, if you wear what you want to wear because you like it, then you're going to feel more confident.
Yeah.
But if you're wearing things just to appease men or appease whoever, then you're really not going to feel great at the end of the day.
Right.
But it's like, you feel good about yourself, where it's like, no, I like what I'm wearing. So,
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
Right.
I feel good in this, so I could care less, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I even noticed that with myself. It's like I could care less about, you know, what I think a perfect example is baggy jeans, right? Because they don't do anything for the butt.
Yeah.
But I like them, and I don't care if my ass looks flat in them because a man doesn't like it. I'm gonna wear them. You know what I mean? So wear what you want to wear. You know,
Yeah.
wear your hair how you want to wear it. Do your makeup how you want to do it. Or are you wearing makeup because you like it, or are you wearing makeup to appease or attract certain people? So
Right.
yeah, I think in general, just asking yourself why you're doing certain things, and even that's something I'm working on, is like, do I want this bag because it's good quality and it's a good investment and it's a good purchase and I'm going to get so many uses out of it, and I'm going to have it for years and years and years? Or do I want it because it has a designer logo on it and I want to be perceived a certain way?
Mm.
That's actually one thing I've really been asking myself lately, right? Because that's decentering other people's opinion. Is, am I buying this because I like it, not because I want to be perceived a certain way?
Mm. Whew, that's a tough question.
And I think that's really hard to rewire your brain when it comes to that. Because honestly, like driving a, you know, luxury vehicle or having a Gucci bag, like, what is the reason for that?
For me, I just like nice shit, but yes.
Yeah, agreed. And that's the thing, is it because you like nice shit, or it's because you don't want
Right.
to pull up somewhere in a hoopty and people
Yeah.
be like, oh, she broke.
Right. Like,
You know what
ooh.
I mean?
Yeah.
Or is it both? You know?
That's a great point.
It's just always something to ask yourself before you buy something, right?
No, for sure. Like, what are you doing this for?
Yeah, because it's like, do you actually love your curly short hair and you're only wearing a weave because you think that's what a man wants, or that's what society thinks you'll look more attractive as? Or like, do you actually feel you're most confident wearing a weave, or you just like want to switch it up and you like to do versatile styles, or you want to do a protective style for a week? You know, it's just like, why are you doing the things you're doing? And when you're doing them for yourself, I think then you become more confident.
Absolutely. For sure. Well, I think this has been a really good episode. Loving the skin that you're in, honey.
Yes.
Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Unapologetic confidence. Or something? Yeah, something about unapologetic and confidence. Don't we? That was squeezing my head.
Add that to the bloopers, please.
That was literally squeezing my head. Just